Welcome to this explainer. Okay, today we are decoding a truly fascinating psychological profile, the specific traits and mental frameworks of someone with Mercury in the 8th house. So if you've ever wondered why certain minds work like a supercomputer that's basically duct taped to a lie detector, well, you are in the right place. But why does unpacking this actually matter? Look, whether you have this placement yourself and you want to understand the mechanics of your own intense perceptions, or maybe you're just trying to figure out a highly complex, fiercely observant person in your life, grasping this operating system literally changes everything. It turns what can sometimes feel like overwhelming mental noise into a highly specialized tool for navigating the world.
Let's kick things off with a simple question just to see if this resonates with you. Do you constantly find yourself reading between the lines? Like, when you're in a conversation, are you just hearing the words being spoken? Or are you naturally picking up on the subtext? Do you catch those subtle double meanings and just inherently sense what's being left completely unsaid in the room? If your brain automatically scans for hidden data in literally every interaction, yeah, you're gonna want to keep watching.
All right, let's dive right into the core definition from our source material. Mercury in the 8th house represents a mind built entirely around investigative thinking and deep psychological insight. It operates as a probing, highly analytical engine, and here's the absolute crucial part. Its primary focus is on what is not immediately visible. This placement gives you an incredible, almost uncanny ability to perceive the hidden layers beneath everyday words, normal behavior, and complex systems. You aren't just looking at the surface, right? You're scanning the structural foundations underneath. In real life, this looks like walking into a meeting and knowing exactly who holds the real power, completely regardless of their job title. Or instantly sensing that a friend's casual joke is actually masking a deep insecurity. It's an automatic, continuous background process. To really grasp how this operates, we're going to break this explainer down and explore this concept through the lens of a detective's journey. So let's begin by looking at the core operating system of this specific mental placement.
Section 1. The 8th house mind.
So your mind fundamentally operates as an analytical engine. This means you have a natural excellence in research and analysis-based thinking. And no, this isn't just about enjoying a good crossword puzzle on a Sunday afternoon. Fields that involve digging way beneath surface data suit you perfectly, because your mind genuinely thrives on the thrill of the investigation. Where other people just see a finished report or a neatly packaged story, your brain immediately starts hunting for the missing footnotes, the buried data points, and the hidden variables that complete the real picture. It's just this unquenchable thirst to get to the very bottom of things. But having an analytical engine is one thing. How does this brain handle the massive influx of data in daily life?
That brings us to Section 2. Processing the hidden world. In literally every interaction, you are constantly making a mental comparison. You take what is said, the surface data, and you immediately weigh it against what is unsaid, the subtext and double meanings. Basically, with Mercury in the 8th house, you are essentially listening to two conversations at once. You hear the literal words being spoken, but your mind is simultaneously decoding the unspoken reality. You're naturally translating those slight pauses, the micro shifts in tone, the careful word choices, all to find the real meaning buried underneath the pleasantries. It's kind of like you have a built-in subtitle track for human behavior, reading the emotional reality that contradicts the spoken narrative.
Now, the crucial point here is how you actually go about solving problems with all this hidden data. You possess a really remarkable problem-solving formula: 50% rational analysis combined with 50% instinctive understanding. You don't just rely on cold, hard facts, but you also don't rely purely on gut feelings. Instead, you have this incredibly strong intuition that is seamlessly blended with logic. In practice, this might look like interviewing a candidate for a job who has a flawless resume. That's the rational analysis part, but you're feeling an unshakable gut instinct that something about their timeline is off. You don't ignore the resume, but you definitely don't ignore the gut feeling either. You use your logic to go back and cross-reference the data until you uncover the exact discrepancy your instinct caught. It is a super powerful, dual-processor approach to the world.
Because of this really unique blend of logic and instinct, your mental focus frequently revolves around three major pillars: trust, truth, and motives. You are constantly evaluating why someone is doing something, not just what they are doing. This mental focus results in a heightened state of mental alertness that's specifically tuned to deception or inconsistency. If a story doesn't quite add up, or if a motive seems out of alignment with someone's actions, your internal alarm bells ring immediately. You're highly protective of your intellectual environment, making sure that the information you accept as reality is rigorously vetted for authenticity.
But of course, a mind tuned to this frequency definitely has its quirks. As our source points out, you may occasionally overthink hidden meanings in everyday words or actions.
Sometimes, your mind searches for profound depth even when situations are entirely simple. You know the feeling, right? You might spend 10 minutes decoding a simple text message that just says OK, analyzing the punctuation, the lack of an emoji, the timing, looking for a hidden message or passive aggression, when in reality, the person was literally just carrying groceries into their house and had one hand free. It's the occupational hazard of being a psychological detective. And speaking of praying detective,
Section 3. Secrets, Taboos, and Talk. When we look at what naturally captures your attention, we see you are invariably drawn to the depths. You have a strong, natural interest in psychology, human behavior, and hidden systems. Furthermore, you're often drawn to understanding trauma or taboo topics. You know, the very subjects that make other people squirm or feel uncomfortable. Society often brushes these darker, more complex subjects under the rug because they're messy, they're painful, or they're just difficult to neatly categorize. But your analytical engine, it isn't afraid of the dark. You don't flinch away from the complex aspects of the human experience. Instead, you lean in to understand them because you inherently recognize that the shadows often hold the most crucial pieces of the puzzle. You want the complete truth, regardless of whether it's polite conversation.
And because you spend so much time studying human behavior and hidden motives, you develop a very specific superpower. As the source notes, and this is a great quote, you understand how information influences perception and emotion. This means you can be incredibly persuasive. You're highly strategic with your communication because you know exactly how to frame a piece of information to trigger a specific emotional response or to alter someone's perception of a situation. You recognize that knowledge is power, and you definitely know how to deploy it effectively.
this strategic, deep communication style naturally has a major impact on your close relationships. Your communication level is often intense and probing. You aren't really interested in superficial, small talk about the weather. You want to get to the core of the person sitting right across from you. Because of this, you might ask deep, penetrating questions that others might find a bit emotionally exposing. You just bypass the surface-level pleasantries and go straight for the psychological truth. While this can be a lot for those who aren't used to it, it's actually a tremendous asset in building incredibly strong, authentic bonds. People who stay in your orbit know that you see the real them, completely unfiltered, which creates a foundation of profound, unshakable trust.
And here is a fascinating side effect of your probing nature and your deep understanding of human psychology. You become an unintentional vault for secrets. You might uncover private information entirely unintentionally simply because people confide in you and reveal things easily. People intuitively sense that you understand the complex, darker, or hidden parts of life without judgment, so they just end up spilling their deepest secrets to you, sometimes without even realizing why they're doing it. You become this safe harbor for the things people can't say out loud to anyone else. So what happens when you utilize these unique traits and experiences over a lifetime?
Let's look at Section 4, the psychological detective. Over time, all of these investigative traits, the constant reading between the lines, the seamless blending of logic and intuition, the fearless deep dives into taboo topics, they all culminate in developing exceptional psychological intelligence. You don't just understand individual interactions anymore. You become highly skilled at mastering broad patterns in people. You decode hidden systems effortlessly, whether that's the unspoken hierarchy in a corporate office or the generational dynamics of a family. And you profoundly understand the deep, core motivations driving human behavior on a macro scale. Your mind actually evolves from merely processing hidden data into something truly masterful. You become a highly sophisticated psychological detective, capable of navigating the unseen currents of the world with incredible precision. So, as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this thought. Take a look at your own environment right now. Your workplace, your current relationships. With your analytical engine fully running and tuned in, what hidden patterns are you noticing right now? The unseen world is always speaking. You just happen to be one of the few who inherently knows how to listen. Thanks so much for joining me out in this deep dive, and hey, keep trusting that brilliant investigative intuition.